before we begin, I would actually like to make a couple of clarifications. More
Okay.
so, one very tiny clarification that I just feel like pointing out, and one pretty big note I just felt like I really wanted to mention, but we kind of skipped over it. Like, I think we just
Hmm.
forgot about it. They involve both the Kyodai episodes for some reason. Um, in Night of the Ninja, I mentioned Gas Bullet is one of the notes I wrote down.
Right.
And I said something like it was just like a pellet that would like shoots gas. I was like, that's the opposite of what it was. I remember now. The reason this was noteworthy was because it was like a little pistol
It
that
was a gas that shot a bullet.
it was it was this little pistol that fired out like it didn't fire out something that dispersed gas. It shot out like gas itself as a projectile. It
Well, I mean, like a sort of like a flamethrower kind of
Yeah,
deal.
but it wasn't like a spray or anything. It was literally a pistol. So it was just a weird visual, and it just shows how like how many different ways they came up with it. Just like, how do we get a gas weapon? Well, this one fires out a. This is not a. This is a grenade. Here's a pellet. This one just gas itself is a projectile. Just hit them with gas. Um, but the one I really wanted to point out is during Day of the Samurai there was Japanese interdimensional rooftop, which
Oh, right, I forgot about that. It's like
yeah.
they use the same. Yeah, they changed camera angles, but they use the same background plate.
So what it was is there was a like a skylight or something. Like they're standing on a roof, and there's a
Hmm.
skylight like in the corner of the screen, and then when it transitions, that skylight is in the exact same position. Like it doesn't change at all, but the rest
I
of the
remember
shot
that.
does.
Yeah.
But and you can tell during the first shot, it's not supposed to be there because Batman runs over it in a way that implies that it was just a flat surface, but it's like
Yeah, yeah,
sticking up. So like it very clearly was an animation goof, and I'm probably gonna have to include pictures. But I remember
yeah.
we got thrown off by it just like appearing in both shots, and we looked back and went, "Wait, he's running on top of it," but it doesn't make any sense. I just I just felt like throwing that out there.
Sure.
But on to the next episode. We have to talk about Mudslide, episode 52.
Clayface again.
Clayface again. I kind of wanted to do a gag where I went, "This is an episode about Clayface." Okay, next episode, because boy, this certainly is an episode of this show.
It's all right. It's
it's
not that bad.
it's
It's
not.
got its moments.
It has moments, yeah. It has some interesting stuff in it, but I don't know. There was just, I guess after Feet of Clay, like
Well,
it's
that's going to be a hard act to follow, isn't it?
it is, yeah, for sure. And it's like this one is kind of, it's all right, I guess. It's it's fine. Well,
It's
so
fine.
um, Clayface is, he shows up again. He's back to his old tricks. He's what is he trying to steal? He
These
just, oh yeah, like a,
chemicals and
yeah,
yeah,
some
stuff
sort
to
of
cure himself with.
rare chemical, and then you find out that like I think Batman gets like a piece of the clay that he leaves behind. I think it's literally
Hmm.
clay, but he finds
Yeah.
a piece of him left behind. He looks at it and he's like, oh, it's the compound's like breaking down or something. Like there's something happening to him where
Hmm.
he's like it's not something's going wrong with his body. And then you see him in like just like a house or something, like just like some sort of like home lab or something with a lady who's
Yeah.
who's working with him, and she's trying to create some sort of compound that like helps cure him. I guess it like
It
restore
should
him
be
back.
noted that when Batman confronts him, he's like really he put out of shape. I don't know if that's I guess that's a pun because he put it in bold italics.
He
But yeah, he's like he's not fit. Let's say he's like panting and wheezing, trying to get away from Batman. He's a right state. He's pathetic. What's wrong with him? So this lady's gonna try and help him, and it'll be all right, because she'll take care of him. You shouldn't worry. Everything's gonna be all right. Nothing to worry about. Everything's all right. It's okay. Don't worry about anything. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about anything. Because she's very, very reassuring. You wrote that.
I
Very, very reassuring to him on the operating table or whatever.
I didn't get the actual quote, but it was like, yeah, she's getting him onto this table, into this like mold essentially, and then while she's doing that, she just keeps saying stuff like that. Like it's just this prolonged series of just, it's all right, don't worry about it, everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be. It's like,
Yeah,
it was very weird. There's something very strange
extreme
about
bed
it.
manner. Yeah, just a bit too reassuring.
But yeah,
Um,
he's got like this body suit thing that he like walks around in that makes him look like a fucking Ken doll or something. It like,
he looks like some sort of something out of like the film Metropolis. He looks like some sort of really old school robot. He's very
yeah,
angular, so he kind of looks like a robot.
yeah, it looks very strange. Like it looks silly. Like it straight up looks comical. It just doesn't fit his persona. It's very odd. Like
Yeah,
because
not to like lay out the whole plot, but I don't really think it serves much purpose in the plot. Really.
I think it's just a way of being like, well, he needs this to stay active, but he can't do a lot in it, I guess. But yeah,
It's weird because it doesn't really do much in the actual plot. Though. It doesn't affect anything. I
no.
could be completely wrong here, but I'm wondering if it's something to do with the animation, just because that I imagine that was just a lot easier to animate. But I don't know. I might be totally
Oh,
shit.
yeah, that's very possible. I think we talked about that before while we were watching
But
it.
he's not. But then again, you can do like monster Clayface, and he doesn't have to be constantly doing the shape shifting stuff. So I don't know. That might not be true, but it just doesn't really factor into the main plot. He doesn't really use the suit. It doesn't change anything. It's just an element in the plot is he's trying to regain, his ability to form a human shape again. He is falling apart, but I guess the suit keeps him together, but he seems to be able to survive outside of it. I don't know. It's a strange conclusion, especially
Yeah,
considering how strange how weird it looks.
yeah, and like even
Maybe
whenever,
it delays it or something. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, it's just the visual on it in general. Like whenever he's sitting on it, it's just like heating up or something, and it's just like, here's just, it's red now, and that's
Mm,
to imply it's doing something, and it's very vague and what
mm,
its purpose is. But um, so yeah, I think he finds out. Yeah, like Batman finds out through looking through his files, like, who would he know who would have like the ability to do, like some sort of scientist or something, and it's like,
mm.
oh, he played a doctor, I think, in a
Yeah.
movie, and so he got like,
No, wasn't he like a senator or something? He had like plastic surgery or something. It was something like that.
yeah,
Anyway, it was there was like a medical personnel on the set though.
yeah, it was like he has somebody involved who to as like a resource basically, and that's how they're connected, and so he's able to figure out that, I guess it's just at her house, I guess, and that's how he
I
finds them.
suppose.
But either way, it's
Bit
a,
of a weird way to tie a scientist into like how would an actor know a scientist? That's kind of a weird way to go about it. It's not impossible, but like
no,
I don't know.
yeah,
She doesn't really seem like she would be up to this particular task. I don't know. Yeah, I feel
yeah,
like that would be like the. I know it's a cartoon. I'll say that again. But I don't know. I feel like the caliber of scientists would be beyond just a doctor consultant on a movie. But then
yeah,
again, that's what this series is so good. I can actually make those very kind of nitpicky kind of arguments, whereas
sure,
most kids' cartoons just it's a doctor. Who cares?
yeah, no, yeah, and then yeah, so Batman, you know, breaks in as they're about to actually perform the final procedure that'll make him Clayface again. Like, I guess
Sure.
yeah, it's supposed to, I guess, cure him, but in the sense that it makes him more like what he was when he first started out.
Yeah.
And then Batman just stops it, and we were kind of like, um, what is actually, like, what is he doing? Like, what, like, because it's like, oh, Batman has to stop it because it'll be bad, and it's like,
Well,
will
I
it?
guess he was stealing.
Yeah, he was
Like, this is my
stealing.
shit. Don't.
Yeah. and he just like, and Batman just like breaks it. It's just like, oh, now nobody gets it, and it's like, all right,
That's a weird. Yeah, I feel like there was an argument for that, but you really got to put in some thought behind it. It just kind of made him seem like a dick.
yeah, he's just like,
You
oh,
know, like, nah.
like this, like he could basically be dying, and Batman's just like, nah, screw you, you don't get this because it might make you more of a threat. It's like, all
I
right,
guess, yeah.
yeah, that felt like all that was. It's just we know it's a bad thing, so he has to stop it. Um, and
Yeah,
then
it's not that it's not unjustified, but they don't do a good job of justifying it, at least on screen. Like, you
yeah,
could have said something, you could have given a little bit of reasoning,
yeah, for sure.
but it's just a
Um,
strange moment.
yeah, so they have a fight in this lab.
Hmm.
Mostly what I remember from this fight is that Batman gets like lodged inside of him. Clayface basically consumes him, and there's this
Yes.
really interesting bit where Batman's like writhing around inside of his body, and he's like talking about like his heart slowing, and he's like,
Yeah, it's really creepy. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
disturbing.
It's a pretty good bit. It's pretty intense
I'd
for
say it's a highlight. That
yeah
was like my one pro in the little list there.
yeah for sure. Um, and then I think he just like hook shots out of it. I think like just hits the grapple and just gets out.
Thanks. Yeah.
Um, and then
Well animated. It's not as
yeah
impressive as Feet of Clay, but all this stuff is still good. They didn't get ACOM to do it.
yeah for sure. The fight goes outside. It's raining. And that starts causing him to basically melt. And the fight ends with him like falling over a cliff and into the ocean. And it looks like he just kind of disperses into the water. And
Did they
more
ever set up his issue with water? Like, was that ever set up prior to
no,
then?
no, honestly, no. There was nothing
Because
ever mentioned about it.
one of my notes is that this is very, very similar to a Batman Beyond episode. It's the second appearance of Ink, who's like sort of the equivalent of Clayface. She doesn't really like do the well. She can't do the morphing thing, but she mostly it's like a shapeshifter, and they very clearly set up that she does not like water in her first appearance. It's funny because it's not even like how they beat her, but they clearly set up she doesn't like water. Whereas this just seems to go like, oh no, you can't go in the rain. I'm like, oh, I guess that's an issue, I suppose.
Yeah, it doesn't even like. It's not even like Batman lures him outside for that reason or anything. It just happens. Like, it just happens to be raining,
Yeah.
and he just goes out, and he's just like, ah, I can take him. Fuck it. And then, yeah, he goes in the water. It just, from what I could tell, that would just kill him outright, but obviously, like, they're not gonna just do that, so.
I don't want to go on about Batman Beyond too much, but when he faces Ink appears in 3 episodes, and she's also like I said, she's got a problem with water. And each time he faces Ink, he always makes sure he has the tool to deal with her because the power you can't just fight her normally. And I think one occasion he has the Mister. Well, there's spoilers for Batman Beyond if we ever do that, but it's the first time he uses the Mister Freeze gun, and then he also has like electric batarangs, and that seems to work well. And he always makes sure he has them with him whenever he does it. But here it's just. But yeah, so if he didn't know about the water thing with Clayface, then why doesn't he just go in with like a water hose or something?
Yeah, right? But,
Then again, Clayface is falling apart, so I don't know.
I don't know. It was.
Just the water thing doesn't seem well established, but
Yeah, and I mean, that's.
I guess I'm arguing that he didn't. It seemed like he didn't know about the water thing, and he just, like you said, just happened to go out into the rain, and that worked out.
Yeah, yeah. It like Clayface is obviously like aware of it because even like this lady friend is just like, no, you can't do that, and he's just like, shut up. So
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know. That's kind of the episode, to be honest.
It's not a bad one, but man,
No.
it's got a tough act to follow with Feet of Clay.
Yeah, I'm actually I don't remember rating it so high. It's because I mean we even have
Might be
a
a C, honestly. I think the
yeah
suit thing's pretty weird as well.
yeah. There's like the suit thing, a lot of just kind of
It's not particularly bad, but
no.
He does seem a bit high though after all the negative stuff we said.
Yeah, I'd say high C. High C is fine because it's not
I'm
without
switching
some
it
really
in there
good
just so
stuff.
we don't
But
get confused, but
yeah,
yeah,
sure. Yeah, that's fine.
okay. All right,
All right.
next one.
Aging the Crime Doctor. This one is a lot different from the
This is
usual
another
films.
sort of arty kind of one, sort of. This is another one that's kind of delving into the backstory of a crime boss. This time it's Thorn, who also has a brother. One became a priest, the other one became a doctor. So it's very similar to what's it called?
Never Too Late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I like where it starts is some like Batman's chasing down some criminals who have like a laser gun.
Yeah, it's a medical. We'll later find out it's a medical laser,
Yeah,
but you can just use it as a laser beam.
it's a space weapon that back in the 30s they were using for surgery.
I mean, again, it's not literally the 30s. Well, actually, it might actually be literally the 1930s because we'll get to that later. But yeah, they're using it as a weapon. Whatever. Pretty weird.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, what is it like?
Thorn needs surgery.
Yeah, Thorn needs surgery. His brother is a doctor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he's not. I don't think he has a medical license. He's like off the books.
Yeah.
And the Thorn quote helps him by bringing him. Yeah.
He doesn't really want to be in that racket, but he's just kind of stuck with it, and like he's just like, oh, I need a serious operation, and this his brother's just like, well, we gotta, what is it? There was some like drama about it, and just like getting the right people to do it. So,
right? Yeah. He can't do it himself. So he says the only person he knows who can do it is Leslie Tompkins. So yeah, she has another appearance from her.
So,
and
I think she's basically kidnapped.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the brother doesn't want to do anything like bad. Like he seems like he's a good guy. He's just kind of in a bad situation, and he's like, oh, I need Leslie to help, and they like kidnap her, and he's just like, did we really have to do that? So she's not happy about it, but
she's still doing it though. Like,
yeah,
obviously, it's kind of against her will, but she's mostly fine with it. Well, not fine with it, but she's still saving a life, even if it's...
So she's okay enough. And then they do the surgery, and by the end of it, they're like, all right, well, it's time to kill them. I forget it was both of them or just her, but they definitely try to. Oh yeah. Because what is this guy's name? Matthew. Matthew was just like, all right, I'm gonna hit her with this lethal injection or whatever. He's just like, I'm gonna.
He says, look, they're gonna shoot her, and just like, no, I'll do it this way. It'll be, painless.
Right. So he goes to he's got the syringe. He goes to inject her, and then injects the guy that's basically threatening them. And she was just like, I think somebody was like, oh, like you killed her.
It's a sedative.
He's like, oh, it's a sedative. Like he's like, yeah, sure, that's cool. Like it's
I like that moment. Yeah.
It's a very
kind of saw it coming, but it's good.
Yeah. Very scrambled retelling of the story, but it's a lot of. That's just kind of what it is. It's this drama about, a mafia doctor, like the mafia guy's brother being a doctor, and like all this shenanigans. And like Batman, what is Batman doing? He's like fighting just another guard, like just another mafia guy who's in the building while this is going on.
Right.
And at some point, Batman's looking through a yearbook to, I guess, just figure out what's going on with these guys, the Thorns. And it says that, yeah, Matt graduated medical school in 1907.
Yeah, there's very clearly a date there. I mean, they're generally pretty good about avoiding specific years, but you could just see it there, 1907, which I was like trying to do it in my head, and I was like, no, this is literally the 1930s.
Yeah, no, and
Whoops.
like, if it isn't obvious, like there's stuff in this series that like they try to go for that sort of theming where it makes it feel like a really 30s sort of style, but it's definitely not in the 30s. Like there's technology that exists that just
no, of course not. It's just the style. But apparently, someone in the production office didn't get the proper memo or something because they wrote down. They just, like obviously just someone who did that cell or whatever it was. They just said, "Well, this guy is an adult now. He must have gone to medical school," and they put a literal year on, and that's just you just don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's weird though because they didn't like date it to the 1990s, which I presume it's also kind of bad because you want it to be timeless. You don't want to say this literally took place in 1993 or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, they just it's funny though because they seem to reason that this is literally the 1930s.
Right. Yeah.
So what were we saying?
We were talking about. I think we kind of summed up our thoughts on the crime doctor, paging the crime doctor.
And we now know that the whole series is literally set in the 1930s, so the whole show gets knocked down a tier because they have computers, which they did not in the 1930s. Show sucks.
I mean,
it's like Bruce Timm's like they had computers then, didn't they? He was like, wow, one idiot.
I think that's basically all I remember about this episode, though. It's just a lot of. It's just like
it's another one of those episodes.
Yeah, but not like
I'm always feeling like we can like classify some of these, you know. We should have like a name for this sort of episode, like the criminal insight episode.
Yeah,
the mob boss.
The like has nothing to do with supervillains. It doesn't even focus on Batman. He's not even like there's so many characters or so many episodes that are not. Lord Batman is not the POV character. Like it's kind of surprising, really. But I guess it works just because there's I don't know how much more interesting you can be with Batman sometimes. He's usually reacting to things going on and not actually being actively interesting himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, this we rated it B. It's hard to say much about it without just showing it because
there's no issues with it. Yeah, there were no like major. I feel like the last one, which we put in, we moved down from B to C. Like when we were like reviewing it, we realized it's got a bunch of problems or stuff that doesn't really make a ton of sense. But this one's just relatively fine. Doesn't have any major flaws.
It's one of those things where I've said it before, like, this is definitely an episode I wouldn't like that much as a kid, but as an adult, it was alright. It was fine.
Yeah, so it's a B's alright, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, whereabouts?
Somewhere in the middle, yeah, looking at some of these. Yeah.
There?
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
This one.
Zatanna. Oh man, we had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
So, this episode is about a pretty noteworthy DC character, the Riddler. Sorry. So it's an episode about Zatanna. She's a magician lady. Notably, in this episode at least, she's just like a performer. Like she's all illusions and stuff.
Yeah, real world magician.
Yeah. She doesn't really do anything that noteworthy. She's just like she has like escape artist talents and
she uses her act is like she uses a hologram to make a, was it not a building disappear, like the contents of a vault disappear?
Yeah. She's performing this thing where she's like, here's a fake building on stage, and inside of it is it's like it's a bank and it's full of money, and then I'm gonna drop a curtain and then raise it again, which honestly didn't seem like that crazy of a magic show. But then again, this is the 1930s now, I guess. So
It'd be alright. I mean, if you like seeing it in person, it'd be alright.
Sure. But and then the curtains come up and it's like all of the money's gone, and then I think she tries to make it come back, and then it just doesn't, and she's just like, oh, what? And so it's like, oh, she just stole all this money, so let's call the police on her, and immediately the police jump in, like, on stage, including a police car who drives in on the stage.
Onto the stage, yeah.
I have no idea how the fuck that happened, but...
or why it happened.
It was very... Yeah, especially because it's just like, she's just like a performer.
It was at least, I should say for context, for anyone who's like listening to this and hasn't seen the episode, it is at least an outdoor theatre.
Right.
So it's not as weird as them just driving into the building. It's not they didn't use a special attack in Streets of Rage 1
Right.
when there's suddenly a car in the building. So
yeah, she's arrested. Bruce Wayne's in the audience, obviously. He witnesses this and he's just like, hey, wait a second. I know for a fact that lady is innocent because I know her. I know that gets established at some point.
sure.
So
Yeah, so there's a flashback where he learned escape artistry from her father. So I like that as well. Explains how he can get out of traps and stuff like that. Like, it seems like a strange thing to learn, but
yeah.
it's definitely something Batman would use. Definitely like less obvious than ninjutsu and stuff.
Oh, but he also uses a pseudonym when he's doing that. He just goes by John Smith. So
Yeah.
that's actually how she knows him, is just John Smith. Which I guess she never learns his name, if I remember correctly.
No, she didn't. So it's kind of weird because when we did the movie thing, we had like the identity reveal, and this would be half of that because she's met him. She knows who he is outside of Batman, but she doesn't know who he is unless she remembers him very vividly and realizes that's Bruce Wayne. But anyway, yeah, she doesn't know it's Bruce Wayne. But she knows the man.
Yeah. Oh, on the stage as well is a character, I forget exactly what he was doing there, but he was the most evil-looking motherfucker in the world. His name's Kane.
It's Kane!
It's Kane! So, yeah, that's where all this... our notes are very silly. But, yeah, there's the villain of this episode...
It's a survival arts episode.
Yes! The villain of this episode is named Kane, and... so he's very obviously the guy who's responsible, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So Batman's like, okay, this lady, I know for a fact she's innocent because I worked under her father at the same time as her. So I'm going to break her out of jail. So he springs her.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. That'll prove her innocence.
He springs
a
her.
Vigilante breaking.
She springs her from that fucking cop vehicle from the beginning of Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Genesis that we saw all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, alright, we're gonna go find out what happened and prove your innocence right after I broke you out of jail. Just like...
He hasn't seen her in years. She could have become a criminal.
Yeah.
We don't know her origin.
It was very weird. He just does that, and of course the episode doesn't care that is bad on her part. Like, she broke out of jail essentially. Like,
we get more evidence that this is literally set in the 1930s because she refers to herself as a leggy dame in nylons.
That line bothered me so much. That is how she referred to herself. It's like, why would you help some leggy dame in nylons? It's like, that's
the most archaic, one of the most archaic lines in the whole show.
Yeah.
They don't. It's funny because they don't really. Well, some characters do, but they generally don't talk like they're in the 1930s either. Probably because that would be A, probably annoying to write, and B, annoying to listen to, but yeah, that's just leggy Damon Nile, it's okay.
Just so they go. This is the part where things get kind of blurry because it's like it's obviously Kane is the one who does it. I don't remember how they figure that out, but they go to like his place, like his mansion or something, and he's got booby traps set up in it. And of course they figure out their way out of it. And God, what even does happen? I just remember that it ends up in a plane.
I forgot about the mansion, to be honest with you. I just remember them going to the. It's a giant. I remember this vividly. It's a giant. The final set piece is a giant. What do you call a flying wing? That's like 1930s as hell in its design.
Yeah.
I remember that being the conclusion. I forgot about them visiting his mansion.
Yeah. There's also. I remember from some of these notes, or at least the villain is stealing everyone's gimmick and also is a sleazeball. I remember he's like, yeah, he makes some weird comments about her, I think. Like, he says some gross shit, but I don't remember exactly what it is with him stealing gimmicks. I think it's just because he had, like, some Riddler stuff going on, I think.
Yeah.
With, like, puzzles or something. I just remember, yeah, he just seemed like a weird guy. Because he didn't have a lot unique to him. He was just kind of the guy who hated magicians or something.
He was billed his public persona was that he's basically a debunker.
Oh,
magic.
That's right. Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna figure out how she pulled this trick off, and then
that's what he's.
Yeah,
I remember being kind of Orson Welles like.
Yes.
Sort of vaguely remember that, yeah. Which is, I don't know if that's like a reference because Orson Welles loved doing magic tricks apparently, but I just remember him kind of reminding me of Orson Welles for some reason.
Yeah. It just the episode is just like the two of them as like a dynamic duo to stop Kane and bring him to justice for stealing all this money. And
she doesn't have any like powers. So forget to mention that when we get back to Justice League Unlimited, she's just straight up using actual magic, which is interesting because she upgraded at some point. But she doesn't have powers in this. She is just a magician. She's not even like an action adjacent career person. But I like she just punches the bad guy. I mean, there's no reason why she couldn't. I just like the simplicity of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a surprising amount of plot holes. Yeah, I remember this episode just being like, what? Why did that happen? But
this isn't like the most exciting episode, but I think I just kind of like her character. I like the backstory of Batman learning from the escape artist. I kind of like it when they add to Batman's backstory and they do it seamlessly with the current plot. So the actual plot isn't terribly exciting. The main villain is kind of whatever, but I think her character and the backstory stuff that's what pushed it to be.
This is a very similar episode to The Cat and the Claw in terms of being like mostly carried by the banter between Bruce Wayne and the sidekick character, I guess. The secondary character. And the plot being just kind of whatever, and us not remembering it too well.
That's fine.
Yeah, but no, I do remember liking it because again, like just the dialogue is really good. Like the back and forths are really nice. So you gotta buy on that alone.
I'd say maybe it's a bit better than Off Balance.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks solid.
Sure. Alright.
Alrighty.
The next one, this is one you kind of dreaded from the synopsis. I remember that much.
Yeah, so this one starts out with Batman is in a chase with I forget if it's Penguin himself or his goons.
It was two of Penguin's goons. I remember that much.
So they're having a...
And they've timed it so they're going to like a lifting bridge, and it's they've timed it so Penguin's barge will be he has a barge, be under the bridge at this particular time, so the henchmen drive onto the barge, and the timing's just so that the Batmobile who's trying to catch up gets its entire front crushed by the bridge closing in on it. It's kind of a good set piece because I guess you would need some kind of justification on what could really badly damage the Batmobile, and that's definitely an example of that. So he has to take it to his mechanic, who is we learn this is like an origin story for the Batmobile, which isn't something I've thought a ton about, but yeah. It's about the origin of the Batmobile. We actually see the old Batmobile design, like the pre-Tim Burton one, in a flashback, and it's that weird design where it kind of has like the bat head on the front. Very strange design that they used for years in the comics, but we get a cameo from that. And then Penguin finds out about this. Penguin's also having car problems at the same time, as you do. And I think his mechanic looks through the records and then realizes like the parts that are being ordered are also the ones that would be used for the Batmobile or something like that. So through that means they actually find out, where they would source where the Batmobiles, where the parts are being ordered to, so we can sort that out. So he goes in. This guy Earl, Big Earl. He goes in. Penguin basically, he gets him to sabotage the Batmobile, and it is it's that shit again in Batman Returns, where Penguin really likes driving the Batmobile, and it's the third time this has happened, because he also did that in the '66 movie. He just really likes grabbing the Batmobile and then controlling the Batmobile. He's really jealous of the Batmobile. Penguin Mobile's nowhere near as cool.
It's so weird because, I think Wikipedia states that this was just directly lifted from the Tim Burton movie, and you can kind of tell because it's a bit different in the '66 movie, but here it's literally the same thing. He just is able to control, and Batman's inside of it just going "What's going on?" But so, oh my god, I'm just looking at this picture. So the second picture here is just a guy still looking up. That's Earl.
It doesn't. It doesn't really make. Yeah.
He's not white, but in this shot he is, and that's why we put it in.
It's worth pointing out because you see that picture, it's just some white guy called Earl. No, that's an animation flub.
Yeah, he
doesn't look like one without a context.
Yeah, that is definitely wrong. And given the other shot there, the animation in this episode is really spotty, but
it's not
terrible.
Not terrible, but it's a bit.
There are a lot of weird shots. I remember it had some rough spots.
Just because we got rid of ACOM does not mean every episode is going to be Feet of Clay Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. There's just backstory stuff where it's Earl was he was really conscious of problems going on with whatever company he was working at the time, and they fired him.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, they fired him because he's he's not trying to save money, blah, blah, blah.
He's finding there's serious design flaws with this. People, could get hurt, and they're just but that's going to cost too much to fix.
Yeah.
So shut up.
So they, he gets in contact with Bruce Wayne somehow. The whole thing starts with Batman, and
he saves him from some hired goons, doesn't he?
Oh,
they stick some hired goons on him so he shuts his mouth.
That's right.
Batman saves him, and I think Batman, because he then knows of him, he comes to him. I don't think he's familiar with Bruce Wayne. I think he's 100%. All he's aware of is that he's working for Batman.
That's right. Yeah.
Because you think, yeah, because a lot of time, like, it's like in the Nolan movies, Morgan Freeman is he obviously knows who he is, and you can't really avoid that. But in this case, because he's the car guy, the gadget guy, in this case, Earl, as far as Earl knows, he's just Batman. He doesn't have a clue who Bruce Wayne is.
Right. And then yeah, there's the third act is just Batman and Robin are stuck inside the Batmobile as it's driving around.
Earl gives him a hint.
Yes, that's right. Earl says something to him. He's just like, "I fixed that air conditioning for you."
Yeah.
And there was some other hint that I actually didn't even notice.
And he's like, Earl, it's winter. Shut up. No, he's just like that.
I wasn't aware.
He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't aware it was broken. All right. So, while this is all going on, where he's like stuck inside the Batmobile, and it's like Penguin's driving into like walls and shit. And he's driving it up a car parking lot, one of those multi-store parking lots, and he's gonna drive it
screaming. I played this city like a hawk from hell.
So he's about to drop them over the edge, basically, and kill them for good. And then Batman's just like, wait a second, when he said that weird thing about the AC, he was giving me a hint about the AC. He
saying cool. I am pretty warm.
He wanted me to be cool before I die.
So he turns on the air conditioning, and it cools him down, and it's like, oh, I'm nice and cool now. I can think clearly, and then he comes up with a plan to escape.
Yes.
So, thanks, Earl.
So I believe, he hits like the AC switch, and it activates like the ejection seat.
Yeah.
And saves it, pushes them out, saves them. And Penguin's just like, they crashed. They're dead now. Oh, great. That's cool. Oh fuck, they're not dead. The end.
Yeah, really good performance. I really love hearing Paul Williams say these lines. Oh yes, dead. Oh shit.
It's exactly the line he used. But yeah, and that's the conclusion on that. So
yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the whole like. I think the note here, Batmobile isn't something you realize needs an origin until you see it. One of those things that doesn't sound great on paper, especially because it's just the Batman Returns, that plot line. But the actual content of this episode is actually pretty interesting. I actually thought the backstory was pretty cool. I guess the third act isn't like amazing. Like it takes Batman a while to figure it out after like the very obvious hint, but
not too bad either though.
No, not too bad. Especially with Penguin, it's low bar, but
it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it ended up being a pretty decent episode, all things considered.
It was, yeah.
Drawn back by Penguin still being kind of lame and the animation being kind of bad, but
yeah.
Otherwise, no. Pretty good episode.
There'd still be a kind of like the story behind that, so.
Yeah, for sure.
God, I don't know. There, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Harley and Ivy.
So this one is about Catwoman, I think.
It's about Riddler and Riddler.
Riddler and Big Riddle. So.
I want to play. I don't have the skill to like Photoshop every single one of these title cards. Just make it about Riddler.
The man who killed Riddler.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the Harley and Ivy episode.
Yeah, establishes their friendship, which is a ongoing thing for the rest of the time in the comics and other media.
I was going to ask if it had any precedent, and then I realized, oh wait, Harley literally exists because of this cartoon, so no. This wouldn't be here.
Oh, what you mean? Did it exist in the comics prior? Yes. Yeah, Ivy had an invisible friend.
She was just friends with the Joker, and they were like, that's a little weird. That's
Hey.
So this episode starts off with Batman in hot pursuit of Joker and Harley. Joker's kind of chilling in the back seat of a car, and Harley's driving. And there's a lot of fun shenanigans with that, where Joker has the long-ass revolver again.
Yeah.
And
You can take down a Batwing, that thing.
and it ends up being just like one of the gag ones. And he's just berating her. He's like, Harley, you worthless piece of shit, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And,
It's great hearing Mark Hamill say those lines.
yes. Yeah. So, and then she eventually, was it like he hit like grapples, like he has like the Batmobile's grappling hook, which attaches to their bumper, and then she hits a button that detaches it, I think, or the trunk or something like that. And
they get away thanks to her.
Yeah, they get away.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the one thing she's just like, because it goes back to their base, and Joker's just like, you screwed everything up, you were the worst, I swear to God. And she's just like, well, I got us away, didn't I? Like, you know, we got away because of me. And he's just like, well, we wouldn't have been in this situation because of you. And he just berates the hell out of her, and then fires her from being a henchman.
Yeah, she's fired.
Yeah. Just kicks her out onto the street. And she's her, so she's just like, I want only to be in Joker's arms and nowhere else. So what I will do...
No, I think isn't she more like, I can do this by myself? Like, she's going to steal a diamond, and she says, Mr. J will love this, and she's like, no, I'm keeping it for myself.
Oh, that's right, yeah. She does go back.
She's trying to, like, make a point. I mean, it doesn't last very long, because it's Harley Quinn, but, you know, she just set out to be independent. That's her original plan.
Right, yeah. I was like, she steals it to give it to him, right? It's like, no, she's just doing it for herself. So, she's there robbing a diamond at a jewelry store, I guess.
I think it's a museum.
Okay, yeah. Because Ivy is there, who also is stealing something, and
Harley's doing a pretty good job, but Ivy's the one who sets off the alarm, so she's just like, oh, screw it, and then she just smashes the case.
Yeah. And so they like, just leave together, and...
They team up a bit to get away. It's worth saying. Like,
that's right.
They kind of run into, and they don't. There's a hostility at first. You know, like Harley's just like, why don't you just light up the bat signal while you're at it? She's like, I didn't do it deliberately. And then she has like plant toxins, and Harley can shoot them out of a gun, like shoving the cork in the barrel. I guess.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'm guessing it's a novelty gun of some sort. I presume you can't normally do that.
No, I don't think that would work with gunpowder. Probably be a little weird.
I'll try.
But yeah, they end up through that just being like, hey, we're pretty good at this. Why don't we team up? And so they go on a crime spree because Batman can't be bothered, I guess. Like, it is just sort of weird. Like,
maybe they're just that damn good.
It's like as a duo, they're amazing because they can. It shows like the newspaper montage of them, like all the different places they've robbed, and there's no explanation for why Batman hasn't stopped them. It's just like he doesn't feel like it, I guess.
I don't know. Maybe he's on vacation. I don't know.
He's on one of those free vacations.
Yeah.
Something. It was during the Doctor Strange episode, so. That's where they all were.
Yeah, okay, that's why Joker was being called over. Yeah, I guess that could feasibly work, you know, and the Joker gets back and it's like, what's Harley been up to?
Right. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows them, like, just hanging out at, like, I think they're bunking at Ivy's house, which is on, like, a landfill or something.
And it's poisonous, so she has to be vaccinated to even just survive there.
Yeah, which is... interesting. And you know, it just kind of has some gags with like, oh, what do we eat? Oh, it's plants or something. I forget. I'm pretty sure a gross old cabbage for a reason.
Vegetable.
Yeah. But so Joker finds out about this, and he's not thrilled.
Yeah, things are going to shit without her. Like the hyenas haven't been fed. They're like
right.
growling and snapping at him. So like, why is everything shitty? Where's Harley? And like the henchman's just like, you borrowed her, boss. And, and he's like, no. And he's like, Harley, no. We're going to get the back.
Jesus Christ. So he looks in the newspaper, I think, and then sees what's going on, and he flips his fucking lid.
They're like all like the Queens of Crime or something, some like tabloid name they're given.
Yeah. And he's just like, well, I know where they are, so I'm gonna go and get my fucking shit back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty nuts, but I'm only here to claim what's mine. You're like, Jesus Christ. And Ivy's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so skipping ahead a bit, yeah.
Oh, and there's also bits where, like, Harley's, like, I think, she does call him?
Yeah, she's like, Ivy's trying to get her to be strong. She's like, you don't need him, but she sort of just caves, and she goes, oh, I'm just calling to let you know who I am, like, secretly. And then, obviously, Joker just traces the call, and then Ivy's like, you fucking idiot. You moron, what you doing? Told you don't need Joker. But,
oh, yeah, so, Joker shows up to give them hell, and then Batman shows up, because, it turns out he's in this episode.
Yeah.
So I think him and Joker have a big fight. I think the other two are kind of just not that involved with it. And...
Yeah, and they kind of... It ends up being a Batman v Joker fight, which is kind of like, after, giving Harley and Ivy the main characters in this episode, and then becomes the main focus is then just not those two.
Yeah, which I kind of get the feeling it's like, oh, we have to do something with Batman. It is his show.
I mean, yeah, I get it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of experimental stuff in this first season. I don't think they'd be experimental enough to just do an episode without Batman. I'm sure I've seen shows that have done plots without the main character. I can't think what they are. I mean, Justice League Unlimited does that a lot, but that's such a big that show is such a big scope. There's like 7 quote main characters, but not in that one. Anyway, there's one of my favorite moments in this is that Joker tries to use the Joker gas on Ivy, and it just doesn't work. Like, that's a good moment. She like starts laughing, and then you find out she's just laughing because it's pathetic. Right. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's a good moment. But unfortunately, it kind of devolves into a Batman v Joker thing, because this whole episode has a very kind of 90s girl power vibe to it. Yeah. For the main duo. But it's a little bit of a shame it doesn't really end with them, or they don't really resolve it themselves. But yeah, it's all good though.
It does have at least one decent choice at the end where they like run off, or like they drive off, I think, and then they run off the road by the police, and it turns out it's Montoya.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Who pulls them over basically? And it's just like, all right. So she gets the last word in there, which is nice. That
yeah, it's like the girl power thing for the criminals, and then it's Montoya gets the collar, which is very fitting.
Yeah.
I like that.
So yeah, and that was a fun episode. It was
not quite. I think I'm assuming that's Paul Dini, because Harley is his thing.
Uh-huh.
It was not quite as strong as his other ones with Langton here, but it's definitely good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It didn't. Yeah. Put that in B.
Put that in B.
Something like a high-ish B. Hang on, let me just. I'm not leaving it there. Maybe there next to the other Poison Ivy one. Maybe a bit higher though, because she's got a bit more developed.
Yeah. Right in between Harley's first episode and Poison Ivy's first episode.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. Perfect.
Yeah, that works.
All right, another two-parter.
Another two-parter.
It's going to be an F because it's a Batgirl, and we know the movies. Any movie with Batgirl in sucks.
Shadow of the Bat. Yeah, this is I don't have any gags. This is the Batgirl episode. It's not the first episode with Barbara Gordon.
Shadow of the Riddle.
Yes, Shadow of the Riddle. Riddle of the Riddle. So, this episode is about a guy named Gil. Suddenly, there's somebody who's helping out with the police force.
You don't remember Gil?
Yeah.
From that episode we watched?
It's Gil.
The you don't remember him? He first appeared in Riddle of the Riddle? No. So we introduced his character, and he's just immediately red flag. We don't know this guy, and we're treating him like we do know this guy. But we have just watched every single episode leading up to this point. We do not know this guy. Maybe if we just jumped into this episode, I might actually think is this a reoccurring character? Has he been set up previously? But no, we watched every single episode up to this point. We do not know this guy. I don't know you.
I don't care to know him.
I don't know you, and I don't care to know you.
I'm sure he's some legacy character from the comics. He's some really important dude. They just haven't had a chance to talk about him yet.
I'm sure he's not suspicious. I'm sure he's not going to be a threat at all.
So what is this?
Going to be an upstanding guy.
So yeah, he's like an informant for the police or something.
Is he a detective? Or something?
I don't know. He's helping the police out. He's giving them all the information they need to make all these big busts. But one of the very first
Is he not literally a cop? I can't remember.
I don't remember. He's just a guy with information. I just remember he's suddenly really important in getting all of these crimes sorted out. And then he's like, by the way, Commissioner Gordon, you're corrupt as shit, and we're putting you under arrest.
I want to clarify this because I feel like it's notable enough to look it up. He is a police officer.
Okay.
Gil.
Sure. Okay. I just remember that they hype him up.
I couldn't remember either, to be fair.
Yeah. No.
But I thought if we're going to be talking about two-part, I better double check that.
Because they do specifically say he's the reason that this is all happening. He's got the inside scoop, and so he's gonna make a big deal about how much he's doing right out the gate. And then he goes, Gordon is the guy who's responsible for crime now. Put him under arrest.
Oh yeah.
So they arrest Gordon, and
he does it under the police end up being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, yeah, I'm sure he's being sincere. He goes, "Oh, Gordon, I'm so sorry." Put him in handcuffs,
Yes. Oh my god. So I just saw Two Faces New Henchman, the chipmunk.
Oh yeah.
Just some guy with buck teeth, I think, but it was just just kind of funny looking dude. So where this goes is
it's a good job we're pointing out some of these notes that we haven't left. A lot of these we're trying to remember. It's good job if we haven't left this long enough, we would think there's a villain called the Chipmunk. Where shit posting and BLT become blurred.
Right.
We've probably already done that, not even realised it.
Yeah, probably. So what is it? They try to do a fundraiser, or what the hell is it they're doing they tend to rally on the commissioner's behalf.
Right, yeah, and what's a Batgirl? Barbara is who should make an appearance? Batman, and Batman's like, this isn't the 60s show. This isn't a Schumacher film. I don't make public appearances, okay? And she's like, oh, well, I'm gonna make sure Batman shows up. So she dresses up as Batman, because was she doing acrobatics or something? She's quite athletic.
Yeah.
So Batman makes an appearance, and it's just her in the bat suit, and she didn't even have to use leg extenders. Who knew? Sometimes you can just dress up as Batman from a distance and get away with it. So it's very interesting. That's technically the origin of Batgirl. That's how she first puts on a bat suit, is to appear as Batman in a public event. And then there's a drive-by I'm being careful not to bleed into part 2.
Right.
Because it's sometimes I forget where the cut is. It's like a drive-by, I think. Yeah, and I don't think we find out yet. But we later find out that Gil preemptively ducked before they even showed up. Like he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But I think that's a part 2 thing. And what would she do? Did she give chase? She while she's still in the batsuit, she gets changed, right?
I think so. Oh man,
It's getting a bit of a blur now.
this is another cat in the claw thing, I think. I remember this episode being pretty good, but it's yeah, it's a little blurred for me.
I'm trying to think where it ends. I believe it ends with this public event thing and her as Batman. And there was definitely an action scene where it's a confrontation. I think she does it in the costume. Damn, I can't remember.
I'm just looking at the notes. I have no idea what "oh shit, it's Batgirl" is supposed to mean.
we haven't really helped ourselves, have we?
No, I do remember Two-Face building. There's only like a big like kind of abandoned-looking building where it's like split in half, and like half of it looks like it's made of brick and half of it's made of wood or something like that. It's like, of course he has a building that looks like that.
Right, I'm actually looking this up. It's Robin meets her. So it's a Robin and Batgirl action set piece. She realizes that the Mason might be involved by the end of the episode, and the episode ends with her gearing up with this like sort of modified batsuit, and she's ready to work. The point is, because she had the batsuit thing for the publicity thing, but she's also doing it to help her father, and she can't do it on the record because obviously Gil's a cop, so she does it as a vigilante, and that's why she uses. So yeah, she's part of the Bat family, which is like the first one to be unofficial, I guess. You know, like Bruce didn't sanction it.
Yeah.
I believe part 2. It's just a lot of back and forth between Robin and Batgirl, because I'm pretty sure later on in the show they become like romantically involved.
Right.
And it's like part 2 is mostly a two-face plot. Another cat in the claw. This is real blurry.
All I remember is that there's a lot of like between this and the first part, there was a lot of just. It's very obvious who she is because you could see her hair.
Yeah.
Like she's very.
She didn't like dye it or could be color or something.
Yeah, it's like not distinct looking enough to make it to where it's like, oh, that's ambiguous. Like, oh, that's Barbara.
Yeah.
Like, we could, but like Robin has no idea. Can't figure it out.
Right, so we better move on because we're kind of digging ourselves into a hole here.
Yeah.
That's a B.
That was a B.
It was a good one though. I put it on the high end.
Yeah.
Maybe here. One of the better two-parters.
Sure, yeah. That's fine.
So part 2, I'm kind of quickly trying to refresh myself.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 is the one where Batman and Robin are in a train car, if you remember that, and it's blood.
That's about all I remember about this episode.
I remember they ends up on the dock. I remember like it ends up being Two-Face is the main villain, which is good. I feel like that elevates it. We put Dent appeared in part 1, but this is where it kind of takes. You find out Gil is working for Two-Face, which you could have done like the whole Thorn thing or just a generic mob boss, but they did inject a superhero into it, so I feel like that adds a bit more to it.
Yeah.
I don't get why this. Yeah, so a subway is being flooded. So to protect themselves, Batman and Robin lock themselves in a train car.
Yeah.
I don't. That seems like the worst possible place to go. If you're in a, I don't know, if you're drowning in a river, I wouldn't try and swim into a sunken car. I don't know. That just seems like a bad idea.
I remember they spend a lot of time on this episode, it doesn't, not that it keeps showing them, but like, they go into this subway car, and then they're just not seen from for a little while, where they focuses on Barbara, which I guess makes sense, because it is really her episode, but it's just this very weird thing where they're in a flooded subway tunnel, they go into this train car, and close the doors, and it's like slowly filling up, and when they finally figure out, like, oh, we gotta do something because we're just going to die in here, I think they like loosen the brake or something, and it just starts moving with the water, basically.
Yeah, which also seems ridiculously dangerous.
Yeah, and what ends up happening is they hits like a wall, which is like over the river, I guess. And it breaks through the wall, it just goes out into outside, and it's just a very weird bit, basically. Like, just very strange.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is, yeah.
God, and I just remember it ends up at the dock, there's a big confrontation with the bats and the Robin, and the Two-Face, and Gil. There's a giant...
Yeah, I remember the bit where Gil learns her identity.
Right.
And then he gets knocked unconscious and he goes into a coma. So I don't know what... Because, we had to do Season 2 and there is Batgirl Returns, so I don't know if that factors into it. But the episode does end with the main villain knowing who she is. So, but he's in a coma?
Yeah.
Interesting, I don't know if that's going to pay off later.
I doubt it. I doubt we'll ever see Gil again.
Actually, I think you might be right, because I was trying to refresh myself on if he's a cop or not, and it said he's tied to these two episodes, Shadow of the Bat Part 1, Shadow of the Bat Part 2. So, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So,
so what, he never came out of his coma and he died?
No, I think he just kind of came out of his coma and went like, I got better things to do.
Who cares?
That Batman shit is stupid. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. This place sucks.
I'm moving to Metropolis.
I feel like the last note we have written down here is very... It just says, barrage of B-tier episodes. Series is really stagnated, even if it is overall decent. Like, I do remember this comes at the... This is like the end of a line of episodes that were like, this was pretty good, I guess, but nothing that blew us away. But it was like they sort of found their groove. They've got it
established. Yeah. They have. Yeah.
Yeah, they found their groove, and it's moving very steadily at this point, and it's fine. And I prefer it to be this way as opposed to being bad, but it's less experimental and less... I don't know. Yeah, it just...
Yeah, they found their groove. There's nothing really that shocking anymore.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
It just became a show, which, again, a good show, but there's just less stuff for us to mention, I guess. Like, less kind of like, oh, here's the funny bits, and here's like the really good bits and the bad bits, and it's like, no, this is all fine.
Yeah, that's when we don't make too many actually constructive notes.
Yeah.
I don't think maybe we'll just put that right next to it.
I'd say so, yeah.
I mean, the fact we couldn't even remember when one started and the other began.
Yeah, I just remember this whole set of episodes leaving us at a place where just like, man, I'm hankering for something really out there, even if it's bad, because this was just kind of like, yeah, this is more Batman.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we'd also watched a lot of episodes by this point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're starting to get a bit like... Not that we're getting bored of it, we're still enjoying it, but it was getting a bit like, you know what I mean. It's a lot to consume at once, even if it's good.
Yeah, it's I was looking for more episodes I can and point at and be like, this is hilarious or terrible, or great.
Yeah.
And this was just a lot of not that. But again,
Yeah, for sure.
it's good. But yeah.
Right, so this one, blind as a riddle.
Riddled as a riddler. This is kind of more...
I mean, just that title, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Batman is blinded. There you go, I said it. Batman is blind.
Oh my god. I just remember that he treats that like such a big deal. Like when that happens, he's just like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm blind. But,
yeah, why not?
I mean, if he
maybe Batman. He wouldn't want people to know Batman's blind, because that'd be, the criminals will just step it up and start,
but
going
Bruce
in,
Wayne. Oh my
making
god,
noises and stuff.
So, the episode starts out with it's like a military thing or somebody showcasing a helicopter that's named like Raven or something, and you're like, oh, it's a Penguin episode. Yeah. It's bird themed. It's Penguin.
Yeah.
So immediately, Penguin steals this thing and starts like just wrecking shit. Like he's like blowing stuff up and nearly kills Bruce there.
Yeah, he's like, I couldn't get the Batmobile, but this'll do for now.
Yeah.
I guess when he's not physically imposing, he can just do a lot of the vehicle episodes.
Apparently, yeah. So yeah, he like does some. I think it's like an explosion or something goes off in Bruce's face, and it like something hits him that like causes him to become blind.
Flashbang or something?
Yeah, because
I can't remember.
It wasn't like anything particularly like it's like, oh, it's like hypersonic or something, and it screws up your vision. It's like, no, it's like just something hits him.
It's an accident.
Yeah, some sort of accident hits him, and he gets out of it, but he's like, I'm blind. I don't want anyone to know I'm blind. So
yeah.
There's a
thankfully it's only temporary.
Yeah,
You're not blind for the rest of the show.
So a large chunk of the episode is he's trying to figure out basically how to fight crime while he can't see anything. Leslie, of course, she makes a surprising amount of appearances. So
yeah.
She's called in to be like, hey, look, your eyesight can recover from this, but we gotta like wrap you some stuff around your eyes so you cannot see anything, so you gotta make sure they're closed.
You gotta rest your eyes, yeah.
Yeah, rest them, and because otherwise that can permanently damage them. So no crime fighting. And he's just like, I can't do that. So
I'm Batman.
Yeah, he ends up getting. They end up.
I mean, to be fair, like the Penguin's got this helicopter. That's his motivation.
Yeah. It's not even just that it's Batman. It's like the Penguin is out there with this weapon that he just stole. So there's an immediate threat. He ends up setting up some sort of like I keep saying VR. Some sort of
augmented reality.
Yeah. Yes. Some sort of like helmet that is attached to actual like. His brain or something. It's insane.
Well, the funny thing is Leslie's the one who does this, and you can just see her with like a welding tool. And it's like, it just seems kind of weird. She's like a medical doctor, I guess, but then she's just. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's just kind of a weird visual.
Yeah. It's like she's very.
Why is she doing? Also, why is she doing it? Like Alfred's right there, but it's sort of implying that she knows how to make this thing, but it's like her invention. I don't know. She doesn't seem very techy to me, but.
Alfred's competency is like really poorly established in this episode or the show. Like whenever he was flying the Batwing, he was just kind of like a doofus, and he just couldn't figure anything out. He had that whole like the spa episode where he goes to Ivy's resort.
Yeah, he's just a victim.
Yeah, he's never really seen as being very competent. Like he's mostly for info. Like Bruce will like call him up for just general info, basically. And he does a lot of the taking care of him, but in terms of, being capable, he doesn't do much.
No. If memory serves me correctly, he does get a dedicated episode in season 2, so he might shine there. But yeah, so far it's interesting because since we started doing this, I've been reading a few comics, and he's actually in the comics, or at least some depictions of him. He's extremely capable, and there's a comic I just read, Earth One, which is very very much an alternate timeline, like it's an alternate universe kind of deal. But in that one, he's like his trainer, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like he's actually the one who trains Batman. So, but yeah, and this so far in the show at least, he's like his help is very much just as a butler. He doesn't really do much beyond that, apart from flying the Batwing badly in one episode.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping in season 2 he comes a little more into his own.
Yeah. So they give them this helmet that like basically it projects images to his brain to help him see, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like battery powered. I know it's mostly plugged into the Batwing because a lot of the
it has a battery, but yeah, it's like if you're in your car, you can charge your phone in your car.
Yeah, so it's because that does come up. What I was gonna say is it gives him the red eyes, like it's like underneath the cowl, so whenever it turns on, it makes everything. I think he sees everything in red. Because
of course, yeah, that's probably why you said it was like VR, because it's that middle bit.
Yeah. It's all red again, but it also makes his eyes red, and that also comes up again later, and it just makes him look evil, and it's a weird visual.
Oh, yeah, it makes it. Yeah, he looks like Thomas Wayne from Flashpoint, the Batman with like guns.
Yeah,
he had red eyes. I know it's a mention on here. It's kind of similar conceptually to the end of the Dark Knight when he gets the sonar eyes. He gets the white eyes in that.
That's
just
right,
so he can see the sonar thing. It's kind of conceptually similar to that.
And so he pursues Penguin through the Batwing, and they have like just a dog fight basically, like.
Yeah, and that's kind of annoying. I noticed here because he's doing this stuff in the Batwing, and that doesn't factor into the being blind thing, because he's just using this device, and it's just doing stuff. I don't know. It just seems like a waste having him do vehicle stuff.
Yeah. There's a bit where it feels like there's no reason this is in the episode where he's blind, because it has no real connection to what's going on. Eventually, I think he gets knocked down. He gets grounded, and he has to fight without the connection to the Batwing, which is it's how he was charging it. Is the device that's helping him see, and I think he gets like damaged or something, because then it starts glitching out, and he starts like actually just going blind again.
Yeah, because obviously that's going to happen, because it's not much of a concept for an episode if it just worked,
Yeah.
So you're kind of waiting for that to happen.
They like wander into like a factory, I think, and
yeah.
So there's like a decent bit where Penguin realizes that he can't see anything, and he's like kicking stuff around, is like fucking with them.
But he's also talking a lot.
Yeah. It's this
whole thing is like a good premise, and it plays into the whole the urban myth thing of bats being blind.
Yeah.
It seems like an obvious idea for an episode. They don't really use it, which is a real shame. Not really. It ends with Batman clinging to a ceiling over some like molten steel or something, and then he uses basically the gimmick is he uses steam to obscure Penguin's vision. So, and then it's like, oh well, I've got the advantage because neither of us can see now. And then he gets to drop in Penguin, which I think I don't know if I put on here. That would have been better if Penguin wasn't a jobber, and also like if he was a bit more of a physical threat. I don't know. That was like the only thing he was kind of clever with the. They were trying to be clever with the blindness thing and how you can overcome that, but it didn't really amount to much, and it was a bit awkward. The idea was him clinging to a ceiling. It's just a weird situation he found himself in, and I think they could have done more with that, a lot more.
Yeah,
This reminded me of Batman Beyond again. There's a villain in there called Shriek, and his whole gimmick is sound manipulation, and they did some creative things with that. I feel like they could have done Penguin could have distracted him, or Batman. The idea is that he takes Penguin's vision away, and that's how he wins. And it's just Penguin, dude. It's not.
Well, it's also just like, okay, Batman's blind, so what does he do? He makes Penguin blind, and then he just kicks him. Like, I remember it was like, he blinds him, and then just hits him, and it's just done. It's like, that didn't solve his problem, it just made Penguin unable to defend himself. Which he's
Much of the episode was he actually blinded, like, without the gizmo?
It was like
what, 5 minutes?
Yeah,
not even that.
Like maybe a quarter of the episode at most. It was not a lot. It was mostly setting up what was even going on, and then enough of it was just the dogfight, and then finally it's like him wandering around, kind of looking pathetic. In a effect, like it didn't look very good. Because I think the note here is like, you would think he'd be skilled at fighting in low visibility environments because he works at night.
Yeah.
You think he'd have at least some practice with it or
he doesn't
something?
He doesn't seem very competent. The only competency is the steam bit, and that's it.
Yeah, well, he figures
everything
out,
prior to that, he's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
He figures it out because water drifts on top of his head, like on top of the cowl and the helmet, and then water starts dripping out from beneath the cowl on his eyes. So it looks like he's crying, which is a funny visual.
Maybe he was.
But also, how did the water get from the top of his head to beneath his mask? Like, how?
It's not waterproof. I don't know.
It's just a weird.
I'm just gonna choose to believe he was crying.
He was
Batman unhappy.
I was jobbing to Penguin. He's so pathetic. So.
That was a C.
That was a C. That was a C.
As in, I will not see it again.
As in, Batman can't see, and neither will I.
Yeah. There, I don't know.
Yeah,
definitely low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like, since we did Vendetta, there's started reading Batman Hush, and literally the first time Killer Croc appears, it says, "Kidnapping is not his MO." Batman's inner monologue literally says, "Killer Croc's MO is not kidnapping." And
it's impersonating Bullock.
Yeah, it's impersonating Bullock.
Yes, the one thing he can do.
There's one specific guy. No one else.
Oh my god. So...
Right, the Demon's... I keep wanting to say the Demon's Crest.
It very much looks like a Capcom game.
Yeah.
This is the final two-parter of Season 1, Demon's Quest Part 1. This is definitely an episode we remember a lot more about, and we have a lot more notes about, so hooray.
Yeah, definitely this first part.
Yeah, Robin is doing Robin things. It's very quickly just like he's doing something, he's out doing whatever.
Right, yeah, this is weird, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get to it, but no title card. We suddenly just cut to Robin doing Robin stuff.
Yeah. The title card is delayed after this intro bit where Robin...
He gets kidnapped by Anubis.
Yeah, he gets kidnapped. And that's the title card, and that's the setup. And then I think isn't it just like Batman just in the cave and then Ra's just shows up, I think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, they don't waste much time. Well, no, they don't waste much time.
No.
Show him getting kidnapped, late title card. And then Rich just walks into the Batcave all casual like with his assistant, Ubu.
Yeah.
He's very rude. That's a really short synopsis. Did you pull this from the same source?
Yes. That is the entire thing for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, but I do remember a bit about this episode.
Good job we do, 'cause,
yeah. So yeah, he's just like, hey, your protege and my daughter are both kidnapped. by the same person. I think they must have sent a letter or something. He just knows that, and he's just like, we need to team up in order to save them, because. And Batman's like, all right.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Ubu is just like, this is running gag in the first part where his bodyguard Ubu is just, every time Batman starts to go somewhere, he gets mad, and Ubu gets mad and like attacks him. And then Raish is just like, oh, he's forgive him. He just really wants me to be up front because he thinks I'm superior. And
please forgive Ubu. He's an idiot.
it just basically that's just a gag where it's just that happens a couple of times, and then eventually Batman.
Yeah,
just
Batman
like,
keeps saying, "Yeah, that's strike one."
Yeah.
And it's like that's strike two.
And then eventually he's like,
it actually becomes a plot point as well.
Yeah. But they go off to
Calcutta.
Calcutta. Some random thief, like steals something from them, and then he quickly gets apprehended, and they're like, "Hey, what do you know about this stuff?"
Yeah, the Society of Shadows or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just a pickpocket. What the hell? No, actually, he has lots of information.
Yeah.
Apparently,
He's like,
criminals. I mean, that's how criminals work. All criminals know each other. That's just how it works.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, they went over this specific building over there in this specific place, and I was like, all right, sounds good to me. Let's go. So they go off to some like temple, and it turns out to be booby trapped. I think there's like a
and the little thing they reveal later on is that it's like the one time Ubu doesn't mind him walking in front because when we get to the twist, they knew it was booby trapped.
Right.
So just let him walk ahead of him just this once.
I think he fights like a cat or something. Like
a like a domestic house cat.
Yeah. Yes. It's ISIS.
ISIS, yeah.
Yeah. He traveled across the entire world.
When you said we were going abroad to fight ISIS, this is not what I expected.
Jesus. He fights like a panther or a lion or something.
Yeah.
And he eventually figures out like, hey, you guys are setting me up on this shit. And
well, they eventually will go. I can't remember the exact order of the reveal, but Batman goes skydiving to this temple. He finds Robin, frees him, and then Reach reveals that he was the one who kidnapped Robin. Talia was never captured, and it was just a test to see who can carry on his lineage. So he was testing Batman. Was it for his lineage? Was it to be his ally?
I think it was to be a follow-up.
Yeah, something like that. Because he still has the Lazarus Pit. I guess I should point that out as well. He can keep himself alive. He is immortal as long as he dips himself regularly in the Lazarus Pit. And he spends most of the episode... he's voiced by David Warner, by the way. He spends most of the episode kind of coughing and spluttering, going, "Oh, I'm dying. I haven't got much time left. I'm old." And then at the very end, apparently being dipped in the Lazarus Pit makes you go temporarily insane because Batman watches it happen. And I guess that's consistent with like Red Hood when we watched that. He goes mad and he almost like kills his daughter. The Batman has to intervene. I think it's just kind of for the sake of having it end on a bit of action and something resembling a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So like
Batman refuses him, obviously.
He's starting, and then like his like being old, it starts to catch up to him, and he's just like I think he passes out, and he's straight up just like he's dying, so they dip him in the pit.
I put it's apparently very funny when that happens to you.
So what happens is whenever he wakes up after being dipped in the pit, he he gets up, he starts laughing maniacally, he just hoists his daughter over his head, and just, like, starts cackling like mad. He's just laughing the entire time, and then
It was pretty funny.
It fades to black, and then it's credits, and it's like, oh, to be continued.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and it's just kind of weird, and as we'll get to, it's a very strange cliffhanger indeed, because of what happens, but it was just sort of like, oh, he's crazy now, I guess. To be continued.
Yeah. Crazy about lifting his daughter over his head.
Yeah.
But that was a good one. Little ending is a bit weird, but we liked that one. The globe-trotting thing was very, very different. Like, we hadn't really seen anything like that yet.
Yeah,
apart from just like going to Texas or somewhere. I don't know.
Right. No, because we're kind of muddled on this, but like I do remember a lot of it is like, oh, Batman is the detective guy, so a lot of it is him figuring out these puzzles and trying to figure out like what to do, and then Ra's is just sort of there because, you know, he needs the help, or so he thinks.
I always liked Ra's referring to Batman as just detective.
Yes,
I always like that.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of just good globetrotting bits where he's like figuring out these puzzles and moving on to the next thing.
This is another two-parter that could probably pass for a movie, given the scope of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
It doesn't feel very Batman-y. Like, I wouldn't use this as like the best representation of Batman in general, particularly from this show. But it's different enough to be interesting, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a standard Batman plot, but that makes it more interesting in a lot of ways. Just like seeing him. I like his interactions with Ra's as well. There's sort of even when he's out as a bad guy, there's a sort of a mutual respect between the two of them. He's not he's not like the Riddler or someone's like, oh, you're beneath me, Batman, you're so stupid. It's like, no, Ra's kind of views him as an equal, even if they don't agree.
Yeah.
So we put that in A. That was a good start for this episode.
That was a very excellent part 1.
There?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know.
Yeah. I remember just liking it a lot, so...
Well, part 2 is going to be even better, right?
Part 2 is going to be as good, if not better. So, how do we
This is really not noteworthy, but because of the delayed title card thing, I think this is the only part 2 we've got where they didn't just take the title card and just slap a part Roman numeral 2 on there.
Yeah, this one's another one.
It's close, but...
Yeah. Wasn't it like it's just like the title comes over like just like a shot in the background or something? I forget.
I think there was also a last time on Batman thing, but I think Netflix skipped it.
Oh, right.
I can't remember. I think they've done that though.
So yeah, the cliffhanger is that Ra's is like kind of losing his mind and he's about to kill his daughter, and then he gets slapped and he goes, "Oh, sorry about that."
Oh! By the way, you're betraying me. Oh, you gotta die.
Yeah, that's it. It just ends like it was just a complete waste of time. Just like
it was kind of, yeah. It's like we need something exciting to end it with. I mean, they could have just put. I guess they could have just put them in the death trap.
Yeah.
And then cut to the cliffhanger. But I mean, it was memorable. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
We knew where 1 ended and 2 began. Thanks to that, because it is a pretty weird sequence. Yeah, I think they could have easily just put them in the death trap, but because that's how this one starts. But never mind.
Yeah. So. Oh god, this one is also...
I like the idea of it just snap out of it, Rage. It's like, oh, thank you. Wait a minute, I still hate you.
Yeah, it's like... I think, like, Batman, like, tackles her or something. Like, somehow she gets out of his hands. And then she just slaps him. And then he's just like, oh, sorry about that. I guess, you know, the kind of Lazarus Pit does stuff to you. It's also... Like, the Lazarus Pit is also very weird. In that it's like, if you're old, it'll restore you to when you're young. If you're not old, it'll maybe kill you or something?
I don't know.
It's bad. Just trust me. It's
Yeah,
bad.
how does it work? Because like Jason Todd didn't become a baby, did he?
No.
And he was like probably like a teenager when he died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we don't even know that's consistent with this universe. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It
I know for a fact we'll be seeing it again in this series, so maybe that
Right.
will explain more or make things more confusing, more likely.
So this is where I'm a little confused. I just remember that the next thing I remember is that they're at some point they're on a plane, like Batman and Robin are in a plane, and they're going to Raish's base, and Batman skydives out, and Robin
Again.
disappears for the rest of the episode. He is not seen again until the very end. Yeah, he is. For some reason, he was kidnapped, so that's why he's in it. But he doesn't do anything. This is actually like.
Did he have something to do, or?
Oh, he was just kind of like flying the plane, just waiting for Bruce to get out of it.
Oh, he's just doing. Yeah, he's just doing laps.
Yeah. He just did nothing. It's just really weird. So like, there's like it's in a desert. There's guys on camelback like circling around. Batman like knocks one of them out and then takes their place, and just kind of in disguise on the line of all these guys, and then follows them to the base. And he gets found out pretty quickly, I think, and they capture him. Again, oh yeah, there was, in part 1, there was like a big fight scene with a bunch of different guards whenever they got to the place, the Lazarus Pit. And Batman overwhelms them pretty, like, it's like a pretty good fight scene. And he fends them off. And then in part 2 here, it's like the same thing, but he goes down pretty quickly. Like, he gets overwhelmed. So they capture him, they take off his shirt. I remember that was a running theme in these episodes for some reason. Like, he's like shirtless for most of this episode now. And then Raish is like, "Alright, Batman, let me explain to you my plan." And it takes like 5 minutes. It's like a crazy long explanation.
Just in a nutshell, he's just detonating bombs in all the Lazarus pits around the world and it will kill millions. That's all you need to hear. But it's like, just... Yeah, the way he explains it. And it involves a satellite.
The satellite that'll
like sends a signal.
Yeah. A satellite that shoots a laser? Or no, it sends a signal?
No, it's just a signal. It's like a...
Yeah. It activates bombs that are in the Lazarus pits that will make the fluids flood the Earth, and it'll kill people, I guess, because it's bad if you're not an old dying person and you get dipped in the Lazarus pit. I guess, but it's also, I guess it'll flood them, so that's good. That's bad either way, but
well, people will die. That's kind of the main takeaway.
And it'll restore the world to a state of whatever.
It's like the whole Thanos thing. There's too many people living. Kill a bunch to equalize it. Like, I'm saving the world, really. Because he does believe he's in the right, which is a good character thing for a villain. When you really earnestly believe you're in the right. But that doesn't make up for the fact this is a pretty generic plan of his.
He's gonna protect the life cycle.
Yeah, the incorporation of the Lazarus Pit seems a bit odd as well. Like, we're going to incorporate an element of his character into his world demolition plan. And it's like, we detonate them. It's like, sure. I mean, it's just a bunch of bombs, really. That's all you could say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then I just remember a lot of fighting, and then eventually... Oh yeah, Raish gets dropped into one of the Lazarus pits that's in that base. And he is presumed dead. And then they get like a stinger at the end where it shows his hand coming up and he starts laughing again. So it's like, oh, that didn't kill him? What a surprise!
Yeah.
And also, the little note there, Talia really lost her skill since her introduction. She does fucking nothing in these episodes. Like, she was, on par with Batman and off balance, but here she's like...
She doesn't do a whole lot.
No, she's just kind of watching everything happening. Just being like, why don't you join my father? Like, damn. Shit. That's that episode.
Yeah, it's we put it as just a real downgrade.
Yeah,
Nowhere near as good.
This episode was boring. I remember this episode just being a drag. It's like
the only thing that makes it interesting is the fact it's just not in Gotham, and that's literally it. But other than that, it's very typical Batman stuff.
Yeah, no, this.
Yeah, very like sword fights. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember after that first episode, which was pretty good. This felt like just a waste of time. It was just not an interesting conclusion to.
It wasn't terrible, but it was
it was
very generic. It was a downgrade from the first one. Probably the biggest step down in any two-parters we've seen.
This honestly could have been.
I don't know, here.
Yeah, sure. That's the C tiers. It's
not terrible.
Yeah. No, it's.
I'd say it's less flawed than, say, Eternal Youth or Prophecy of Doom.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No,
but he's still relatively interesting.
He is, yeah. I like his character. I think the characters are fine. It's just the main plot was just it kind of whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, honestly,
move on to a much better one.
I'm just saying, like you could have easily made this just a one-part episode. Like part 1 could have been its own thing. Like.
And there would have been a bit of a squeeze, but
a little bit, yeah.
Given the scope of where he's traveling to and the test prior to it. Then again, you could have probably just ended it in part 1, and that would have been just fine.
Yeah.
Like you could have easily just said, you just say, how dare you betray me? Have a confrontation. Batman escapes, and I'll get you next time. And then they could have just left it at that. That's a complete story.
Yeah. This felt like this was like part 2 that just felt really unnecessary. Like, even Two-Face Part 2, it didn't feel unnecessary. It just wasn't as good as Part 1. This was just straight up like, we didn't need this Part 2. Like,
it's almost like they just felt like, we've got to show Raish doing his standard MO thing. Like, the first part was just, we only saw him doing a deception plot. He's pretending to be his friend. And it's almost like, part 2, we've got to show Raish being Raish, though. Which I don't think is necessary. It doesn't have to be a part 2. You could just have this in its own bubble, really.
Yeah. So, mixed bag here at the tail end of the season 1. What's going on with the next episode? His Silicon Soul.
The Silicon Riddle.
His riddled riddle. So, this is...
Just fuck it, riddle. There we go.
So, in this episode, some guys are breaking into a warehouse and trying to get some cool stuff to hawk. And they open up a crate, and
it contains Batman.
It contains Batman, which I think is worth a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, this is the episode where we learn Batman's actually a vampire, and he has to sleep in a box containing his Gotham soil. I think.
Actually, yeah, very quickly, even in this first scene, he gets shot, I think. Like, he's having a fight with these guys. Yeah, he gets shot dead. He's out of it. And Alfred has to take his place, which sucks, because Alfred can't do shit. Actually,
so yeah, they're quick to show he's a robot.
Yeah, he gets shot. Then suddenly he's just fucking Rob Paulson is just like, you're not human, and then it shows his chest and like where the bullet holes are. There's just like wires and metal and shit, and he's just like. He's just like, what?
Alfred, how my circuits are loose.
Yeah, so
he's. I don't think it's immediate, but later on in the episode, like when he speaks to Rossum, I love this. It's so good because he really has convinced himself that he is Bruce Wayne, And he says, "Oh, someone's put my mind in a robot body. You have to help me." That's so good.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
carry on. So I'm
No,
getting
no,
ahead of
so,
myself.
yeah, yeah. He goes back to the Wayne Manor, and he's like, Alfred, I need help. Like something's wrong, and Alfred's just like, what? You are not Batman. What the fuck? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on here? And this robot is just like, he's straight up. He's just like, no, I am Bruce Wayne. Like,
Yeah,
why
he takes
won't you
his
help me?
mask off. You can see it's Bruce. It's
Yeah.
fine.
And he's just like, why won't you help me? And Alfred's just like freaking out. He's just like, he's like terrified. So,
So he's like, he starts pondering in his head. He sees, his gears turning in his brain. There, he's like, "What do I do?" Well, the Batcave has 30 different lines of defense that Bruce set up. I've got to use one of them. So he runs down the stairs and decides to use the one that just floods the room with gas. And he puts on a gas mask thing. And then he looks at him and he's like, "Oh, it doesn't work because it's a robot." Well, you saw he was a robot, Alfred. What are you?
that's
Of all the ones you could have used, why did you use the gas one?
when I said that they make him look like an idiot. I've forgotten about this. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. That was like my. I've never had another one, but that was like my one negative about this originally. He's like, why is he using? He knew he was a robot. He could see that, and if he couldn't see that, he's an idiot. So he uses the gas thing. I'm sure he had other things in the Batcave he could have used, but weird choice. I mean, I get in terms of the story, it is showing the audience. If you didn't get it already, he's a robot. He doesn't need to. It is quite interesting to see him not have to react to the gas. Like that's quite. That's a thing, but it makes Alfred look like an idiot.
It does. Yeah. Just a weird bit. So like I think the robot just takes the gas mask away and he just passes out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, oops, that was dumb. So
Damn! I wish it wasn't lethal gas.
so yeah, I think the robot like wanders off or something. I actually forget how, but I know that Bruce Wayne eventually figures out like there's a robot running around that looks like me. Like what the shit?
Yeah. Well, earlier on, the robot apprehends those criminals from the warehouse. And like Gordon's like, "Hey, good job with that." And he says, "There's one problem, Jim. I didn't get these men."
Right? Yeah, yeah. So he's trying to figure out like what the shit is going on. There's a robot running around.
It's a small thing as well, but I also appreciate. I think if I remember correctly, he actually pulls Gordon to the side and kind of whispers that because I guess you wouldn't really want to advertise that fact.
Right? Yeah.
It's a small little touch, but I appreciate him. It's like, that wasn't me, dude. I don't know who did that.
Something's up because that wasn't me. But
I'll take credit for it, but I didn't do it.
So, but he ends up.
I'm deploying robots now, Gordon. Bat duplicants. Save Gotham.
I can't be
An
everywhere
army
at
of
once.
Batmen.
All right, so like I got.
That's probably a Batman plot. There's probably been more than one comic where that's the main plot.
Well, that was.
And it goes horribly wrong.
That's sort of the thing with Ultron, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
A little bit. Anyway, it ends up with Batman talking to Rossum, who's like he's just like a farmer now. He's just like I quit doing all this stuff, so I have no idea what's going on with Hardak. Hardak's destroyed. That shit's gone. So what do I know about that? And then Robot Batman shows up and he's just like, "Hey, help! What's wrong with me?"
And that's where he says the line about him. Like they put my mind in a robot body.
Right.
Which,
yeah.
if you're like, if you're yourself, if you're like the protagonist here in your own world, you would think that, that probably if his programming is that good, like I just love that that's what he concluded.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like I see that being a plot as well. Like someone does that to him.
Yeah,
he really is that convinced himself. Like that's his reason. He sees that he has a robot body. It's like, how many conclusions can you come up with? And he's just like, someone put my mind in a robot body. Like that's brilliant.
Yeah, this episode is surprisingly like emotional. Like his acting as this robot who's just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, why am I a robot now? Like, what's happening to me? It hits pretty good. It's well done.
It does. I like a good existential crisis.
Yeah,
Like it shows.
And so, what ensues is a fight between Batman and the robot in like a greenhouse or something on Rossum's farm. And at some point, the building starts coming down, and I believe it's gonna hurt or kill Rossum. And the robot actually jumps in to save him because
that was a great point as well.
Yeah, it's a Batman robot. He thinks he's Batman, so he actually tries to save somebody still. Like even
That's
after
such a good touch.
Yeah, it's such a good bit.
So eventually the robot finds Hardak, like the parts of Hardak that are in police evidence or storage somewhere. And then he kind of reconnects to Hardak, which enables his programming, and he basically just... I guess his backstory, he was a Batman replicant or snatcher, whatever they're called, duplicant, set up before the destruction of Hardak, and his mission is just to carry on Hardak's will. So at this point, now he's reconnected with Hardak. He no longer believes he's Batman, or he's still programmed to think like Batman, but he now knows he's a robot, and he starts enacting this main plot, which I feel like definitely not as interesting from that point on, but it's still good.
Yeah.
But I like the existential crisis a lot. It's a bit of a downgrade to lose that part, but it's still very good. So he goes back to the Batcave. And like Alfred's like, I've got a new dose of gas for the robot, but it doesn't work. He just waltzes into the Batcave. It's another one where it's a bit like Variation, that they know who Batman is, but they don't really care to use that information. Nor should they. That's not a critique. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
You know. And then Batman's like going to inject fake Batman's going to inject I think it's a computer virus from the Bat computer or something like that. Or is it people are going to die? I remember that much.
Right.
And then Batman confronts him, the real Batman confronts him. And they get into a fight. The robot tries to apply Batman's like personality to Hardak's plan to justify it. It's a bit strange, but he tries. You know, it's like, oh no, we're actually helping people by doing this. And he's like, no, you're not. But the Batman robot still wants to, at face value, help people, which is interesting. And then the conclusion of the episode is the duplicant pushes him into a hole. And then the robot's like, what have I done? I've taken a life. And it's still like that's obviously kind of hardwired into him to Batman wouldn't take a life. So the robot just starts flipping out. And then just basically aborts the plan. And was it like self-destruct? I know it destroys itself. I figured it was like intentional or not.
I don't remember either, actually.
It's because it's freaking out so much.
Yeah. I think it might have accidentally like crushed itself or something. Like something falls on it. There's a little bit, but it just like either way, yeah. Like the point is that it really loses it after supposedly killing Batman, and then come to find out he just like Batman just like is stuck on like a wall, like or something. He's stuck in the cave wall down in the lower part of the pit. And he's fine. He climbs back up, and Alfred's like, "Oh, thank goodness, because I can't do shit against this robot."
Yeah.
And that's that.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't know if we described this episode like it's an S tier, but we put an S tier because it is.
Really had some negatives, but it was very good. An S doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect.
No, but no, it
we
was
just
really
enjoyed
good.
The way it handled. I put it maybe in the bottom though.
Yeah, sure.
Because we did have a few critiques.
But
I did add an extra con there in that they don't really treat the robot Batman with any kind of mystery. Like they do reveal almost immediately that he's a robot. I feel like they maybe could have had a bit more fun with that. You know, maybe following him around a bit more before you realise something's up. But that's that's a kind of a what if kind of scenario for me. That doesn't really affect the episode.
But to its benefit, I don't think it wastes a lot of time at all in this episode. Like, I don't remember.
Well, I suppose if they did do that, we'd probably be like, oh, they take too long revealing that he's a robot, so that's might not even be a negative.
Might have actually been a good two-parter, but I think it worked well enough as what it is. It's just some things that could have
probably
been
didn't want. They probably didn't want too hard two-parters.
The good point, yeah. But no, this is a solid episode.
Very good. All right, next one.
Next is Fire from Olympus, and this is another one where, man, we really didn't write down much about it, and
I can remember it pretty well though. But we're also getting to the point where it hasn't been that long since this is our last session of watching.
Yeah. So there's a guy named Maximilian Zeus, and he thinks he's Zeus, the god.
The Greek god of thunder and rock and roll.
Yeah. So he's like, that's.
Yeah, he's like a I don't want to say crime boss. He's like I think he's more of a daggett. He's like a businessman, but he's a criminal businessman.
Yeah.
And he has like trading routes or something. And I don't know. He just thinks he's Zeus. Like he over time his girlfriend or whoever kind of reveals that Max is like kind of spiraling out of control. Like I don't know if he just. There's not really a whole lot of justification for him thinking he's Zeus, just besides having that name. I'm assuming that's his legal name that he was given, not a pseudonym. I don't know. We don't get like a two-faced thing of it. He's got prior psychological issues, or he got hit by lightning one day, and I don't know. It's just he gradually. It says it's a gradual process, and he's just becoming crazier, and he's starting living this fantasy world of him being Zeus.
Yeah.
And that's there wasn't really a whole lot to say about the plot. I mean, that's kind of it. He's
the plot of this
episode. The guy who thinks he's Zeus, and he gets a lightning cannon.
He steals a lightning cannon. He's on top of a tower, and he's using it basically as like anti-air rounds, basically just shooting shit out of the sky. And that's like the justification for why Batman can't just fly up to the top and be like, shut this shit down. So, in order for him to reach Zeus, he has to climb up his tower.
And there's 4 floors. He has to get through each one. And every time you go through it, it's randomized. But thankfully he gets help from the other gods. Sorry.
Yes. With his boons, he fights the warthog. I mean, the Minotaur.
Yeah.
There's like some thematic stuff there where he's like, you must face this beast and then you can come up and fight me or something.
He's a fun character, but he's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's the note we have is like the episode acknowledges that he is fucking weird, but he is fucking weird. Like, this is a
that doesn't justify him being weird, though, does it?
It's a weird plot for this show.
It's like acknowledging your flaws. It doesn't make them magically go away. Like, acknowledging he's weird does not make it less weird.
Well, it's.
I feel like they're just missing a beat there. Like, he should have just had one part of his backstory. I don't know. Like, when he was a kid, he read he learned about Greek mythology and he was enraptured with it. I don't know. There's something missing there to justify this whole character. Just something, even if it's small.
It just kind of says, this guy's crazy. He thinks he's Zeus. He does Zeus-like things. It's kind of Zeus-themed. Batman punches him and he's done. That's the episode. It's fucking weird.
It's entertaining, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
The ending where he gets put in Arkham and he's like comparing all of the notable supervillains there to other mythological characters, They have
Yeah,
some.
like Poison Ivy is Demeter, and
Right, yeah, yeah. They have some.
is like Janus or something.
Yeah, yeah. They have some real fun with it. And,
Didn't they say like Joker's Apollo, the trickster? I was like, I don't see that, but
oh, that's
I'm not an
right,
expert in
yeah.
Greek mythology.
That's right, yeah. I was like, who was the Joker? Oh, yeah, he's Apollo. Right, sure. That's,
I mean, if they had like the Flash in Arkham for some reason, then maybe you could say that. But
uh,
I don't know, Reverse Flash.
yeah, I just remember the entire time Batman's making his way up this tower, it's like, it, the thing, like, justification is real thin. It felt really weird that he was having this much trouble just getting up a tower. Like, it's just a building. He just,
Yeah.
like, he couldn't crawl up the sides of it. He couldn't,
Well,
like,
didn't he end up doing that?
Oh, yeah, he gets up
Didn't he end
outside.
up scaling the outside anyway
Yeah, he does.
after fighting a warthog?
And then, yeah, that's about all I got. That's all I remember.
And then the finale on the rooftop, and Batman just seems strangely inept against this guy
Yeah,
who
this
again doesn't really have any powers other than just electric cannon.
doesn't he get shot with the cannon at the end, Zeus?
But I think he like lands on it and gets zapped
Yeah, something that
somehow.
probably should have fried him alive, but it just kind of goes ah.
But that's the twist. That's when you learn he was actually Zeus the whole time.
I think he was actually a robot made by Hardak, which is why we were allowed to fry him alive like that.
Why did you make program robot to think it's Zeus and a crime boss? Like I had two different programs running. They got a bit muddled.
Hardak's just like, I'm really into this game called Hades right now.
So yeah, I mean, what is there to say?
Wait. I wish I had more to say about this episode.
It wasn't unentertaining.
Yeah, yeah, it
I wasn't bored watching it, but it is almost too silly.
it is kind of too weird for its own good. Put it next to Clock King.
They're very similar, yeah.
Yeah,
Ahead or behind.
behind it.
Honestly, that's a good comparison when it comes to silly villains.
Yeah, yeah, it's just very, very silly thing that it tries to play semi-seriously. Like, not that, like, because he's supposed to be a genuine threat, and it doesn't feel like he is, because he's just a guy
At least
with a...
Clock King we learn a bit more about.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he has an origin. They actually set up why he is the way he is, but this guy, no, he's just loony.
Mm.
He's a Looney Tune.
He seems like the most kind of stereotypical inhabitant of Arkham. It's like a guy who thinks he's Zeus. It's like the old trope of like the guy who thinks he's Napoleon.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
But that's that.
That's
So we've got a new supervillain introduction in this one.
We do.
Well, technically two.
Yeah, I did write 2 down.
Yeah, we've got the mastermind Scarface and some lackey he has, some guy, the ventriloquist who helps him, I guess. The Scarface is the real like supervillain of this episode.
I was really waiting for you to say it was the Riddler.
What?
Riddle my lips.
Riddle my riddle, riddle. Riddle my lips. Riddle my lips, Batman. What? That sounds like a euphemism. I don't like that.
Let's move on from that. So there's gangs committing crimes, and they're doing a good job. They're stealing stuff, and Batman's like, man, these guys are some real strong dudes. What's up with them? How are they doing this, and who is leading them? And he ends up finding their base, and he's like peering in through like a skylight, and he's looking down, and there's a guy holding a fucking doll, and the doll is yelling at the henchman, and
Yeah.
Batman looks at this and is just like, "What the fucking fuck?"
I've seen a lot of strange shit in my time, but that's a new one.
he he is taken aback by this guy who is controlling a doll, and he's just, it's the ventriloquist. He's got a puppet, and but he actually believes it is a
It's
character, a person.
Night of the Living Dummy.
Yeah. He is he's just like, this my boss Scarface, and it's just like, okay, but the ventriloquist is the guy who's running the show, and they make jokes about it too. It's just like, oh, it's just him, and then he's like, no, that's Scarface.
They do this self-aware thing like they did in the previous episode, but I think this is more successful in that.
Yeah,
Can't really see why. It's just the weird, acknowledging the weirdness of them being ordered by a puppet. So it's kind of similar to them trying to say like, oh, the guy who thinks he's Zeus is weird, but I think it's a bit more believable here. It might be the performances, just the way they sort of. I think there's like two criminals who are kind of skeptical, and then the big one, Rhino. It's just like, no, we've got to listen to Mr. Scarface. He's a genius, and the other two are like, oh, okay, sure.
I think there's also a difference between, like, I believe I am a Greek god reincarnated, and I believe that this puppet is real, and he's the mastermind. But like, the guy still.
I think the latter is funnier.
It's funnier, but he's also like, he shows his competency. Like, he actually has these heists that actually go really well for them, and they're doing really, really well. And so it's like, oh, so this guy is smart. He just thinks that this puppet is alive, you know. He's got he's got that going on, but like, you know, he's capable. So, you know, it might seem weird, but you know, he's still a a villain who's a threat. So
yeah.
They end up this is where I'm a little fuzzy. They rob a ship. I know they like weld a hole into the side of a ship.
Yeah.
To rob some like gold out of, or platinum.
It's gold, yeah. Oh, platinum. Sorry, yeah.
It was platinum.
They make a point of it being heavy.
Yeah. And see, I just remember
them checking out. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember it ends up with Batman getting captured. That's all I remember.
I want to acknowledge the three henchmen quickly because I forget what I'm going to fit this in. But there's a bit where I think they're being chased, no, they're not being chased. I think Batman's watching them through a video feed or something, and they all traverse a fence, and it's the exact same bit as Ed, and Eddie. There's a bit in an early episode of Ed, and Eddie where the three Eds approach a fence differently. I think Double D like kind of opens it carefully. Eddie jumps over it, and then Ed just kind of I think he just goes through a hole in it.
Yes.
And then this does the same thing, where one henchman just kind of opens the door, the other one jumps over it, and then Rhino, the big dumb one, just charges through it. And that's just the bit from Ed, and Eddie.
Yeah.
The henchmen are Ed, and Eddie.
Yeah.
Just so interesting parallel.
I do remember there's a lot of emphasis on these guys because you don't even see Scarface till like halfway through the episode. But
well, the kind of subplot is that they think there's a traitor. Scarface thinks there's a traitor, which
right.
Batman uses for the finale.
Yeah, so they capture Batman. He's kind of tied up. He's suspended over like a pit full of like saw blades, or like
it's like parts of it's like a puppet factory. They're like sharp. What are they, like sharp bits of wood or something?
I think it was puppets holding like blades or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was some very puppet themed spike trap, and so they got him suspended over that, and Batman uses ventriloquism to make the was it the doll or was it the ventriloquist? But he does something to he makes it who does he speak for?
He throws it. He accuses the ventriloquist. He makes it sound like he suggests that the ventriloquist was feeding him information. Like you're wondering who Batman's going to blame for this, and then the fun part is that he blames the guy who's literally giving Scarface his voice, and they two can't trust each other. That's what makes it so funny. And there's a great line: "Don't put words in my mouth."
Yes,
I love that line.
Yeah.
So Batman, the part of this episode I don't like, Batman throws his voice, which is, in the context of this show, means literally making your voice seem like it's coming from another part of the room, which is that's like Looney Tunes bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect that here because that is patently impossible. I know you create the illusion of that, but you don't literally do it. I honestly don't think it was necessary for him to like imitate Scarface. I just thought that was kind of weird. Like I feel like he could have easily just built up the mistrust between them by accusing him. I didn't need Batman to use ventriloquism himself. But
yeah, that was a weird way.
it's a nitpick, but it's I don't think that was necessary. I think it would have been stronger if he just accused the ventriloquist and left it at that, and then let things go from there. But it's still entertaining, and that's the big finale. Is him spreading mistrust. I do like a good Batman finale where it isn't just physical. He actually uses a trick to gain the advantage. So I like that a lot. It's funny as well.
And then Scarface gets fucking shredded.
Yeah, he does.
He gets shot the fuck up, and I think that happens with ventriloquist. It's just like no, but it is just I don't know. It's again like because it's an inanimate object, they just demolish this thing, and it's like really overemphasized.
Yeah, because they finally get to shoot something in animation. A human figure.
Silly.
Like we said the same thing about the robots.
Right, yeah. No, it's... And then the ending is the ventriloquist in Arkham, I think. And he's in, like, a woodshop class, and he's just making a new
He's making a new Scarface, yeah.
Yeah.
I like he takes the blade and he just carves out the scar.
Yeah. It was a good bit. No, it's... This is a good episode. Not an amazing one, because it's very silly, but...
I think when it comes to the silly bits of like Zeus, Clock King, Ventriloquist, I feel like they're cut from the same cloth. I think of those three, this is probably the most successful in making a silly character kind of not legitimate, but like just portraying it in a way that kind of makes sense. Like it's kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah, like
like I said, the only part I didn't like was Batman throwing his voice.
And the really like the main thing is just that he's capable because he's just smart. Like he's just very intelligent. So that's all you really need. Like Clock King is like, oh, I have to do all this time theme stuff, and this guy's just like, no, he's just an efficient criminal. He's just very, very good at what he does, which is steal shit.
And the Scarface thing also lends itself to the 30s thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can do those 30s tropes, and they don't even feel that out of place.
Yeah, he's got that.
Like see.
Yeah. He's got that kind of voice. Yeah, it's
and just... good voice performance as well. Because goes without saying. I guess it's not necessarily a given, but the same voice actor voices the ventriloquist and Scarface, so it's a good performance because they really do sound different.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a really entertaining episode. So, not the best, but definitely fun.
I would say that's fairly high up. I found that very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like here.
Sure.
There, like just ahead of Ivy's debut.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little bit more fun than that.
For sure. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well, last episode, kinda, for now.
The 65th episode, The Warrior Men. If you were expecting the last episode of this season to be another Mad Hatter episode, then congratulations. You figured out
why you would think that, I don't know, but good job, whoever you are.
I apparently did not put the synopsis down this one, but it's okay because I remember it pretty vividly. Um, this one starts with Bruce Wayne at. Okay, what is it like?
Oh shit! Oh no, we're screwed.
We're screwed.
No. There's this woman who has gotten back from exploring the globe, and she's come back with some little trinkets she bought, which are called worry men. I think that's what they're called. I know it's in the episode. I assume that's what they're called. And the little thing they say is, "Oh, put this under your pillow, and it will take your worries away as you sleep, like a emotional tooth fairy or something." I don't know. It's a fun little idea. I can sort of imagine that. Thank you for that. Yes, that's very helpful. I thought that said she returns from Captain America. Yeah, she's. I've been away in the Marvel universe for a bit, and I brought these back with me. So it comes up with these trinkets, and they're all obviously she's hanging out with a bunch of because she's a world explorer. They're all wealthy people. Needless to say, Bruce is there.
Yeah.
I think she gives one of the worry men to Bruce. He shows it to Alfred. Alfred's like, "That's a load of bullshit. Absolutely impossible. I don't believe in any superstition. Hey, let's give it a go anyway." And he puts it under his pillow.
Well, before that, while they're at that gathering, the Mudman from World Heroes shows up, and
Oh, sorry, I did leave out quite a bit there.
Some guy, some sort of native character, like shows up and just, I don't even remember what he does. I just remember that there's a whole thing where he crashes the party. Batman, comes out and chases him around.
I seem to recall Batman confronting him before he even had a chance to do anything.
That's right. Yeah. He was seen like on the roof again through the skylight.
I think he's just in his underpants. Probably, it's like, "Excuse me, there's a dress code for this party."
You need. So yeah, no, he
needs some pants.
Yeah, get some pants on, man. Jesus. So he goes up to the roof and he's just like, "Hey, what are you?" Oh yeah, he's very chatty this episode. He's like doing a lot of quips because the guy isn't like saying much. So he ends up like chasing the guy around basically, and I think he just ends up getting away. And Batman's just like, "What in the world was that about?" So yeah, he goes home. Alfred has the worry man, and he's just like, "This is ridiculous. I'm going to put it under your pillow now." It's just like,
why is today's villain Spider-Man?
There was one bit where the guy was like underneath it was like one of those like gargoyles or whatever from
right.
Yeah, he's like just hanging out from the bottom of it. It just looked like he's just like fucking Spider-Man.
We don't even know how. There's no visible apparatus or something. Yeah. Which is even stranger when we learn who these people are.
Yeah,
because it makes even less sense.
Yeah, but so yeah, Bruce wakes up the next day, and he enters the building, and he's like, "Hey, secretary, do you got that big suitcase full of cash that I asked for?" And she's just like, yeah, why do you want this again? He's like, "Don't worry about it. Thanks, I'll take that now. Okay, see you later." And then he puts.
And then he goes like, "I'm gonna leave it on the windowsill outside to cool off." Yeah. I guess.
Well, they needed to get some air, and then the lady comes in and was just like, "Yeah, so like, what the fuck?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You asked me for a suitcase full of money," and he's like, "I don't remember doing that." And then
he's like, "You're crazy. I'm going to send you to Arkham." And then the tribal guy just swoops in and grabs this briefcase off the windowsill with millions of dollars in it, and he's like, "Money, no." So he can't remember like doing that or why he did that.
Yeah. He's just like, "Oh man, what happened?" And then I forget how he figures it out, because it's obviously related to the thing underneath this pillow. But I think he
just the only thing that changed. Yeah,
he confronts the lady, Veronica. He confronts her on her like yacht or whatever.
Yeah, and she's doing the same shit. She's like just about to throw money into the sea.
Yeah, and he stops her. She's like, "What? I don't... What?" And... Oh, God.
And then I think she has like some offhand comment about, So much for those worry men take my worries away or something. He's like, what? Oh, those.
Oh yeah, yeah, that thing. And then she goes to throw it in the ocean. I think he's like, no, let me see it. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with these things. And he figures out like there's like a chip in it or something.
Yeah, and then there's a really good line where he's like, nobody knows the human mind better than Jervis Tetch. I was like, kind of thing like Scarecrow, and like, god damn it. The poor Scarecrow.
Yeah, it's like
not in this show.
Not in this show. I'm trying to remember how he figures out where he is, because he goes like, oh, it's Mad Hatter.
No, doesn't he ask her? Like, yeah, he goes to her and she says, did you meet an Englishman there? And she's like, yes, why? He's like, okay. I forget how he finds him specifically.
Something about it's like the costumes. He's like,
he's in a costume, warehouse.
Yeah.
That explains a lot about that ending, actually.
Yeah. I just remember, it's all like, there's something about costumes, and he figures out, he must be at this warehouse. So he ends up going in there.
It's quite good. It's quite a good twist because up to that point, I was actually assuming there was some sort of tribal people who were associated with these dolls or something, or even if it's just a scam, I kind of still assume they were actual natives or a foreign land or something. But you just find out they are just random ass henchmen from Gotham wearing these costumes, or it's literally from a costume shop. I like that.
Yeah.
And then apparently they give you Spider-Man powers.
Yeah. So, Mad Hatter has it cuts to him, and he's just kind of monologuing to these guys. And I remember it's like a prolonged bit. Like he starts animating at 240 FPS. It's like a weirdly well animated shot of him just kind of explaining his thoughts. And I just remember it was a lot of, I don't know, we like Mad Hatter. He's a lot of fun when he's on screen, so we just really
I did not expect to like him this much when we saw this.
Yeah, so his whole thing is like, I don't know what to tell you other than it was just entertaining because I just like that guy. He's just fun.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he's one of my favorites as well after watching this.
But the setting is like, it's in this warehouse. It's got all these mannequins wearing costumes of all the other supervillains. So there's like a bunch of cameos during this scene, and then during just the entirety of the third act, basically. Like a lot of the traps are these toys.
Yeah, you can see our list here.
Yeah. It's like all these different things that are themed after the other supervillain characters, which is whenever I started this, I was like, how in the world is this going to be a season finale episode? And then after seeing all that, it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense. It actually...
Yeah, you couldn't do that unless you did establish this big rogues gallery.
Yeah. So it ends up being a really good, final episode of the season, because it ends up just having a lot of, references to all the things that it's established so far. Basically all the recurring supervillains are here in some fashion. And,
Mad Hatter just kind of rules. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to explain,
really
but he's just very, very fun. The performance is really good, and he's just a delight. One more cape on a object thing as a decoy.
Yeah.
And
but it's in a place full of mannequins and old costumes and things, so yeah, it actually makes sense.
He's essentially using his own tactics against him at that point. It's
I want to acknowledge this because this is something that will definitely be lost to time if I don't mention it now. Young Justice time. This is so on we watched this on Netflix. It just very abruptly ends with this episode. No season 2, and then it just recommends, oh, you want to watch Young Justice now? Which is the natural way you go after watching this, I guess. I just want to acknowledge why that note's there, because it's not going to make any sense otherwise. So I think we're going to have to go to Amazon Prime Video to continue.
Right. I actually forgot about that. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I want to acknowledge it.
Forgot, yeah, that's just not even on Netflix for some reason. That's fucking weird.
Mm.
But...
Or at least UK Netflix, I don't know.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that was an A. Nice to end on a high.
Yeah, the notes are like, yeah, the third act is really where it, like, picks up, but leading up to it, we were, like, not thrilled about it. Up until then, it was just like, this is, you know, it's just the...
Maybe there. Let's see the Mad Hatter one.
Yes, yeah, that's good.
I swear I don't do this intentionally. They just kind of like, I feel like around about here, and then it's always like something related next to it.
It's just easy to be like, oh yeah, no, this is like the other one that's the same kind of thing, you know?
I guess it's not really a coincidence, because if I like a certain character, it's already going to fit in somewhere.
Yeah,
it's going to be similar to another one.
It's very easy, like, this is just yet another really good Mad Hatter episode, so we should go next to the other really good Mad Hatter episode, so...
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like... Yeah, no, that's...
That's it.
That's it. That is...
Well, for now at least.
65 episodes, the season 1 of Batman the Animated Series, all tiered up.
Yeah, so in conclusion, show sucks. Don't waste your time.
There is more bad episodes than good episodes. If you looked exclusively...
Well, no, hang on. No. C is still, like, alright. C is fine.
Now, if you look exclusively, there's
C
this...
is fine. Like, D and Baby Mad, like, avoid. Anything above that is fine. Like, you're not gonna do... Like,
yeah, no.
You're not gonna, like, lose your shit watching Vendetta.
No, yeah. The everything's on a kind of a scale. Like, it's all relative to the entire show, and yeah, all the C stuff is passable. Those 7 episodes are the only ones that I would not recommend seeing. Like, if you're gonna watch the entire season, like we did, you're gonna have a much better time than...
I mean, 7 out of 65, that's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, that's 58 episodes that are at least passable, if not pretty good.
Yeah.
And like everything in A, easily recommend. Everything in S, definitely recommend. Everything below that, you know, it wouldn't hurt to see them.
I mean, your preference might. You might really, really be into. I don't know, Prophecy of Doom. You might just really like that cult plot, or you just really hate Gotham. So for you, The Forgotten and The Demon's Quest Part 2 are just the best of the best, because you fucking hate any Batman to do with Gotham City. That sucks, but
you're really
outside of that city, they're great.
Really in love with the Riddler doing video game nonsense, and then the color red. There you go.
If you're so Riddle, why aren't you Riddle?